Good evening and welcome here to Daytona Beach, Florida, under the lights as we get set to form the starting grid for Sunday's running of the Great American Race, the Daytona 500. It is a perfect night for racing with clear skies and no rain anywhere in the forecast. As you can see, the fans are still piling into the grandstands, getting ready to watch two intense races as the 2022 BlueGreen Vacations Duels from Daytona get ready to begin. Yesterday, we saw Daytona 500 pole qualifying and witnessed Charlotte's own William Byron capture his second pole in the Daytona 500. Former series champion Martin Truex Jr. qualified on the outside of the front row for the second time in his career. Now, we also saw longtime series veterans Ryan Newman and Greg Biffle qualify their way into Sunday's race, but the work is not over yet, as they want to race their way into the Daytona 500. That way they can get a better starting position for Sunday's race. Now we have 46 cars entered and now 38 spots are taken on the starting grid. That leaves 2 spots up for grabs, and we will see which 2 drivers will capture those 2 spots from dual race number 1 and dual race number 2. As you can see, the cars have already been pushed to pit lane, and they are waiting to get going here as we get set for dual race number 1, the race that will set the inside row for Sunday's Daytona 500. Like we said, on the pole, William Byron, the Exalta Chevrolet, on the pole for the second time in his career in the biggest race of the year. And yeah, he will have the number 3 of Austin Dillon on the outside of the front row. Denny Hamlin, Ricky Stenhouse Jr. making up row number 2 with Eric Jones and Chris Buescher in row number 3. For many of these drivers, their goal is to win the race, but also just try to get the best starting position they can in Sunday's race. But for other drivers, it's a little bit different. For 4 drivers, their number 1 goal in this race is to race their way in. One of the drivers who is already locked in after qualifying his way into the show is the 60 of Ryan Newman. There he is towards the middle of your screen, that red, white number 60 Coca-Cola car, Ryan Newman. He is locked into the show after qualifying his way in yesterday via time trials. That is a 3rd car for RFK Racing, and they were able to get that car in the show, and they will race no matter what. But for Ryan Newman, for that number 60 team, they want to start as high up on the grid as possible, so they are going to be racing hard to try to race their way in. That way they do not have to fall back on their qualifying speed. But for other drivers, their goal a little bit more different. As you move further back on the pit lane, you see that number 36 of David Ragan. That is a 3rd car for Front Row Motorsports. Like RFK Racing, they brought a 3rd car to the track, and they brought back their longtime veteran driver David Ragan to wheel that number 36 car and try to get that car in the show. Unlike last year though, David Ragan unable to qualify his way into the show, but he was the 3rd fastest qualifier of the open cars. So should Ryan Newman race his way in, that means David Ragan could fall back on his qualifying speed should it come to that. But for David Ragan, he would much rather race his way in as well. And then you have 3 of the drivers. Their only chance to make the Daytona 500 is to race their way in. They cannot fall back on their qualifying speed. And there they are, that number 62 of Noah Gragson, driving for Byron Motorsports the 2nd year in a row. He missed the Daytona 500 last year in that car after getting swept up in a crash. Not of his own doing. The 96, that's Brandon Jones, looking to make his Cup Series debut. Not only his 500 debut, but his very first NASCAR Cup Series start, trying to get Gaunt Brothers into 500 for the first time since 2019. The final open card looking to race his way in, basically the underdog in this race, that number 13 of Stephen Leicht. That is a 2nd car for MBM Motorsports, owned by Carl Long. Stephen Leicht, a former Rookie of the Year in the Cup Series, has never raced in the Great American Race. Does that change this weekend? Does he make the show here tonight? And we are just moments away from the command to fire up these engines. We have 23 cars on pit lane getting ready to go green here at Daytona. As we wait for the command, let's go ahead and show you your starting grid for dual race number 1. Like we said, we have William Byron on the pole after capturing his second Daytona 500 pole. Yesterday afternoon, he has Austin Dillon, the former 500 winner, starting on the outside of row number 1. Row 2, we have Denny Hamlin, who is a 3-time 500 champion, also 3 dual victories to his credit. He has the 47 of Ricky Stenhouse Jr. from Olive Branch, Mississippi, starting on the outside of row number 2. Row number 3, we have the number 43, Eric Jones, jobbing the Fame number 43 for Richard Petty. He has Chris Buescher, jobbing the 17 for the newly named RFK Racing. Their very first race is right here in duel number 1. Row 4, we have the number 18 of Kyle Busch. 3 dual victories here at Daytona, but he's never won the big Daytona 500. He has Toyota teammate Bubba Wallace on the outside. Nearly won his dual race 1 year ago in a great battle with Austin Dillon. Row 5, last season Ty Dillon came down here just trying to qualify or race his way into the show, but he missed the race. This year he comes down under better circumstances, locked in with Petty GMS Motorsports. He has Daniel Hemrick, the defending Xfinity champion, on the outside in the Colleague Racing Chevrolet. Row number 6, Ryan Newman, driving a 3rd entry for RFK Racing in what could be his final run in the Great American Race. Newman trying to get that number 60 car in the show after qualifying his way into the race, but now he wants to race his way into the Daytona 500. Justin Haley for Colleague Racing will start on the outside. Row 7, Charlotte's own Corey LaJoie in the number 7 for Spire Motorsports. He'll start next to the 22 of Joey Logano, who won back-to-back dual races in 2019 and 2020. Row 8, we have rookie Todd Gilliland making his very first Cup Series start tonight, and he will start next to his new veteran teammate David Ragan, one of the 4 drivers looking to secure a spot on Sunday's starting grid. Row number 9, Noah Gragson missed the Daytona 500 last season in the same car after he got swept up in an accident, like we said earlier in the broadcast. Looking for a little bit of redemption here this evening. He has Monterrey, Mexico's Daniel Suarez, whose best finish in a dual race is 8th on 2 different occasions. Row 10, California's Cole Custer mired back in 19th place next to Brandon Jones, looking to make his very first NASCAR Cup Series start on Sunday. Row number 11, Landon Castle returns to Speed Weeks in the Cup Series, driving for Spire Motorsports. He is locked into the show. He has former Rookie of the Year in the Cup Series, Stephen Leicht, trying to get NBM Motorsports into the Great American Race. And on the final row, row number 12 on the inside in 23rd place, B.G. McLeod in the number 78 will round out the field of 23 competitors looking to race in the Daytona 500. And now you can see the pace car leading the field onto the track as the command has been given. 23 engines come to life as they exit pit lane, getting ready for the first green flag to wave here in the 2022 NASCAR Cup Series season. This race also is really big for a lot of our drivers running full time, because this race, as well as dual race number 2, pays points. Championship points that could make or break your possibility of making the postseason playoffs. 10 points if you win the race, 1 point if you get 10th place. Basically, think of it as a long stage where you get points towards the championship. But for 4 drivers, like we've talked about already, their number 1 goal, just to race on Sunday. This is the biggest race of the year, the biggest payout. Making this race, that's a whole lot for a small team, especially if they're trying to run the full season. As for William Byron, Austin Dillon, they make up the front row, and we will go green here in just a moment. They're gonna add the lights back on the pace car here in a moment, but we're gonna step away for a quick break. But when we come back, we are racing under the lights here at the Daytona International Speedway. Stay tuned. And now the pace car leading the field down the back straightaway. The final time before we go green for the first time in 2022. 4 drivers trying to race their way into the Daytona 500, a race within a race. But for 18 other drivers, 18 charter teams looking to just go to victory lane here at Daytona. William Byron on point with the number 3 of Austin Dillon, 2 iconic numbers on the front row. The 11 of Denny Hamlin, 47 of Ricky Stenhouse Jr. making up row number 2. This is a 60-lap race here at Daytona in Duel race number 1, the race that will set the inside row for Sunday's Great American Race. William Byron knows he will start on the pole, but everybody else does not know where they will be lined up come Sunday. We're about to find out as the green flag waves and we are underway in the 2022 NASCAR Cup Series season. You saw the 24 William Byron get a huge jump, but he looks like he got a little bit too far out in front because Austin Dillon, who may have missed a gear, may have spun his tires, he's coming back with a push from the 47 of Ricky Stenhouse Jr. And Dillon clears Byron, and now Dillon drops down low. Stenhouse stays up high. Chris Buescher to help, but he'll get put 3 wide as the 18 of Kyle Busch drives up through the middle of that 18 car. And they exit turn number 4. They come down to complete lap number 1. Give it to the 47 of Ricky Stenhouse Jr. for JTG Daugherty Racing. He takes the lead, but now, for how long as the 18 of Kyle Busch? You got a great push from the 31. That's Justin Haley aboard that Colleague Racing Chevrolet here this season. Behind him, perhaps the favorite to win on Sunday, that 11 of Denny Hamlin. But now Haley unable to get to the back bumper of the 18 of Kyle Busch to help give him a shove by the 47. Now William Byron jumps up on that second lane, and he's going to push Kyle Busch to the lead, but Busch leaves Byron hanging. Give the lead now to the 18 of Kyle Busch as they exit turn number 4 to complete lap number 2. And it is a 4-car breakaway with Busch, Stenhouse, Dillon, and the 24 of Byron. But here at Daytona, a 4-car breakaway is not necessarily the best thing because that gives everybody behind them a huge run. And if you're one of those top 4, you are a sitting duck. So you do not want to get out too far in front. We saw that on the initial start with William Byron. He got a great launch, got up through the gears perfectly, got going. But by the time he got to the back straightaway, they caught him and they passed him. And now there he is, 4th car on the inside lane, as the 18 of Kyle Busch already leading here after starting outside the top 5 with his M&M's Toyota Camry. And now Ricky Stenhouse Jr. coming back strong, pushed by the 11 of Denny Hamlin. Many drivers believe entering this week with the updated new rules package that we could see more of what we saw a decade ago, the 2-car tandem. Many believe that we could see the 2-car tandem return tonight in the duels and on Sunday in the Daytona 500 as Denny Hamlin got pushed by Chris Buescher to the lead. And now Chris Buescher fights on the outside with Cole Custer in that 41 car, who's now also moved inside the top 5. Remember, Cole Custer qualified outside the top 30 in time trials yesterday afternoon. But we know many teams, like that 99 of Daniel Suarez, another one, many teams, they really only cared about the handling of their car. They wasn't really focused on the speed, but more on the handling, as we have a second pack back here being led by the 22 of Joey Logano. Not quite sure what happened, but we have 2 different packs right now. We have Logano and the 60 of Ryan Newman. And to see these 3 cars back here, the red, white, and blue, for whatever reason, I'm not quite sure, but the paint scheme is not loading up on a few of the cars, and it appears Brandon Jones, Steve Leicht, a little bit of contact almost between those 2 cars as they go by the 38 of Ty Gilliland. And I believe that's the 62 of Noah Gragson. Ironically, these are the three cars that must race their way into the Daytona 500. And ironically, those three cars are also the cars that the paint scheme is not loading up. That's pretty ironic, but that'll help them possibly stand out. Landon Castle's back here in the 77. There's Ryan Newman. He is currently second of the open cars because the 36 of David Ragan is currently in position to advance. Now looks like we have another second pack. So I guess this is now the Duel group has now became the third group, as the second group is now being led by a couple of Chevrolets, Daniel Hemrick and Eric Jones. They have lost touch with the lead pack up here, as now being led once again by the 11 of Denny Hamlin. Kyle Busch now quickly back up to the front with his M&M's Toyota Camry. Kyle Busch been full-time in the Cup Series since 2005, but he has never won the Great American Race. He's won over 59 races in his NASCAR Cup Series career, but he's never won the Great American Race. After 59 wins and 2 championships, winless in the Great American Race, and with this being the final year with M&M's as the primary sponsor for Kyle Busch, is this the year for Kyle Busch to win the Daytona 500? But he knows if he's going to do it, his biggest threat is his own JGR teammate, Denny Hamlin, who's lined up on the inside in second place on the inside of the 24. William Byron, who's now getting a great push by the 47 of Ricky Stenhouse Jr. It appears the yellow flag is out here, and we're hearing there may be some oil laid down on the track. Oil that could be coming from the 78. That is BJ McLeod. McLeod was 45th in qualifying yesterday afternoon. Definitely did not have the speed, and he quickly lost touch with the leaders. And there you see BJ McLeod taking his car behind the wall, so that will end McLeod's night pretty early here in dual race number 1. Now, McLeod is guaranteed a spot on the starting grid, but with him finishing last in this race, we do know now that McLeod will finish, or he will start 37th on Sunday. That's basically 3 spots we now know that are secured: first place, second place, and now 37th place. The pace car has came back onto the track, picked up leader Kyle Busch. He leads teammate Denny Hamlin, William Byron, Chris Buescher, and Ricky Stenhouse Jr. Your top 5: Daniel Suarez, Cole Custer, Austin Dillon, Bubba Wallace, and Corey LaJoie. Your top 10: Eric Jones, Daniel Hemrick, Ty Dillon, Justin Haley, and David Ragan, Joey Logano, Ryan Newman, Noah Gragson, Landon Castle, and Stephen Leicht, Brandon Jones, and Todd Gilliland, the 22 cars remaining on track as we are under the first caution of the night. We are going to go to a quick break, but don't go anywhere, as NASCAR Cup Series action from Daytona will return here on the 4Y Broadcasting Network. Stay tuned. We are back live here at Daytona, getting set for the restart on lap number 15 of 60. We have the 2 JGR Toyotas on the front row with Kyle Busch and Denny Hamlin. William Byron, your pole center, is currently 3rd with Chris Buescher in 4th. Before we went away during the caution, BJ McLeod took his car to the garage area. It was a transmission failure on the 78. So that is why BJ McLeod took his car behind the wall. They will get that car fixed and ready to go before they go in a battle on Sunday afternoon. It's a good thing that they got that they diagnosed the problem tonight. That way they hopefully will not have the same problem come Sunday. That leaves us with the Joe Gibbs teammates: Kyle Busch and Denny Hamlin on the front row, with William Byron and Chris Buescher on row 2. Pace car enters pit lane and gets us back underway with 46 to go here in dual race number 1 at Daytona. And just like the initial start of the race, Kyle Busch, the leader on the control car, gets a great launch on that inside lane. But it looks Look at that though. Look, he got a little bit too far out in front as Byron on the inside, Hamlin on the outside. They're both going to have a huge run on the 18 of Kyle Busch as they exit turn number 2. Hamlin getting pushed by the 17 of Buescher. Denny Hamlin drops down low, picks up his teammate Kyle Busch. Now Buescher on the outside, pushed by Daniel Suarez. I'm really interested to see how guys like Daniel Suarez in the 99, Cole Custer the 41. I know in the second dual race we have Ross Chastain in the 1 for Trackhouse. These are some of the guys who qualified outside the top 30 in time trials yesterday. I'm really interested to see like how they stack up against some of the guys who focus more on qualifying speed, like the 24 William Byron. As the 62 and Noah Gragson had a great restart, he is now moved into the transfer position in that 62 car. Noah Gragson missed the Daytona 500 a year ago after getting swept up in a crash not of his own doing. And towards the back of the pack, here's the 77 Landon Castle, the 96 of Brandon Jones. Unlike the initial start, looks like the entire pack is currently all in one big pack. I don't see any separation like we saw on the initial start as the 42 of Ty Dillon getting pushed out to the lead by his new teammate Eric Jones. Remember, Ty Dillon spent several years in the Cup Series for Germain Racing. A single car team, had no teammate, so this is the first time he will have a teammate in the Cup Series full time as Eric Jones now goes to the front in that 43 car. That number 43, a very iconic number in the NASCAR world, and especially here in the Cup Series, especially here at Daytona. Success with Richard Petty. And now Eric Jones trying to put that car back into victory lane as Joey Logano, the 22. Remember, he lost the draft on that first run. He's back up here in the mix. And he's going to go by the 43 of Eric Jones for the lead. And David Ragan, that 36 car, we know how good he is on these restrictor plate tracks. David Ragan, that is a third car for Front Row Motorsports. He retired from full-time action after 2019. But since then, he's came down here to Daytona trying to win the Daytona 500 or win a race that he lost after a mistake on a restart back in 2011. And Ragan knows he has to be aggressive. He has to be up here battling because he needs to race his way in. If not, he needs the 60 of Ryan Newman to race his way in so Ragan could fall back on his qualifying speed if need be. But right now, Ragan looking to advance by racing his way in. And the best way to do that is to pass that 22 of Joey Logano for the lead. David Ragan on the outside, pushed by Austin Dillon. See the 7 of Corey LaJoie up high. He looks like he may have got loose. He's going to see LaJoie and the 18 of Kyle Busch losing some time as they jump to that third lane. As David Ragan now taking over the top spot. But look at that big push by Bubba Wallace to Austin Dillon. That's that two-car tandem we talked about. Those two got hooked up and they got shot out of a cannon. They cleared that inside line of David Ragan very quickly. It was now Dillon and Wallace on the inside with Kyle Busch up top trying to side draft his Toyota teammate Bubba Wallace. It's going to slow both of them down and give David Ragan a big run, and Ragan drives to the bumper of the 18 of Kyle Busch. And now 3 wide. Look at Stenhouse in that 47 up top. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. pushed by the 11 of Denny Hamlin. They're going to go by that middle groove led by David Ragan. So now moves Stenhouse. He drops down low, picks up David Ragan, tries to side draft the 18 of Kyle Busch to pull him by and grab that lead away as they enter turn number 3. We are working lap number 21. That would complete lap number 20 this time by. That will give us 40 laps to go. 10 laps until halfway here in this race. Now Ricky Stenhouse Jr. back out in command, but for how long? Not long enough as the 18 of Kyle Busch once again jumps to the outside to reclaim that lead. At 18, I tell you what, that 18 looks really strong. He's able to keep that car out in front, and even if he gets freight trained by a car behind him, he's able to get a big run and get back by and get back in the lead. We've seen that several times already. Top 3 stay single file with Busch, Dillon, and Stenhouse. David Ragan in 4th, Ryan Newman in that 60 battling Bubba Wallace for 5th place. As the top 4 single file further back here. We have 3 other open cars, Noah Gragson, Brandon Jones, and Stephen Leicht. Well, they're stuck back here, single file behind Ty Gilliland, Daniel Suarez. And they're beginning to lose a little bit of time to some of our front leaders up here. Good run right now by that 77, Landon Castle. He'll be going full-time Xfinity racing this season for Collie Racing. Best opportunity Landon Castle has had in quite some time as back up front, the 47 Stenhouse back up to the lead, pushed by Austin Dillon. And look at this, Ryan Newman as they almost go 4 wide. They're going to go 3 wide as Logano makes a move in the middle in that 22 car. Newman was trying to get by David Ragan to become the leader of the open cars. But that move by Logano ruined Ryan Newman's momentum, and now David Ragan stays in control of that transfer position as Logano 3 wide on the outside again. This time is Austin Dillon trapped in the middle lane. Ragan goes with Logano. Kyle Busch jumps back up in that 18 car. It's Stenhouse still leading on the inside line, pushed by William Byron's Exalta Chevrolet. Austin Dillon still in the middle, Bubba Wallace down low, Joe Logano up top, Justin Haley on the bottom of that 31 car, and Wallace a great run in that 23. And we get behind the boss man, the 11 of Denny Hamlin, give him a push to the 24 William Byron. Now Justin Haley jumps up in that outside lane behind the 18 of Kyle Busch. I know there's several drivers in this race and as well in Duel race number 2 that, guys that are just looking to run possibly in the bag to keep their car out of trouble because they do not want to be up in that mess. They do not want to get their car torn up. As these teams, they've been working on these cars for over 6 months. I mean, there is so much preparation, so much time as they're almost 4 wide up here in turn 3. And they are 4 wide. Logano trying to stay off the 42 of Ty Dillon. And do a great job, keep their cars clean, and that's what these guys like Daniel Hemrick's trying to avoid. These are the situations these guys are trying to avoid. That they do not want to get these cars torn up in a crash when they want to be able to race these cars in the big show on Sunday. But for other guys, Noah Gragson, Stephen Leicht, Brandon Jones are having trouble getting up through the field. They're having trouble getting by that 30 of Ty Gilliland. They're unable to get up to where David Ragan is, where Ryan Newman is. Although Ryan Newman now has dropped like a rock on that outside lane. He's back here in the mix with Stephen Leicht and Brandon Jones and Noah Gragson. I feel like that 38 may have a problem though. Ty Gilliland just does not seem to have the speed. And now once again, it looks like they're going to lose to draft as Stenhouse continues to lead the way on that inside lane. Cole Custer now looking in the middle of the 31 of Justin Haley as Kyle Busch and Denny Hamlin working together on the outside lane. Hamlin clears Stenhouse, so does the 18 of Kyle Busch. So the field has gotten broken up into 2 groups as the Joe Gibbs Racing drivers continue to dominate here as the 18 Kyle Busch again jumps to the outside. He does not want to be in second place. He wants to be in control, but Stenhouse and Byron stays down low behind the 11 of Hamlin. Bubba Wallace has gotten cleared of Cole Custer to be sole position of 5th place. Eric Jones down low with Austin Dillon. Daniel Suarez up top with no help in that 99 car. I believe this is a 14 car pack currently. But the top 4 are trying to break away with Kyle Busch and Denny Hamlin. Stenhouse and Byron side by side. And they're losing time as they're side drafting one another. Now Logano goes 3 wide on the 17 of Chris Buescher. We've seen so much battling, so much side by side action. Guys getting huge runs or instead of like staying in line, they're seeing what their cars are gonna do. I mean, the temperature, the track temperature right now, the air temperature, everything about this race right now is really what we are gonna have on Sunday. This race is gonna start in the daytime, but towards the nighttime, it's gonna become a nighttime race. The finish of this race will be under the lights, so it's pretty important to see what the handling And these cars, what they're going to do, as they're still side by side between Stenhouse and Byron, and up front the teammates have gotten a huge lead. Look at the lead these two guys have gotten. And this is that two-car tandem we've talked about at the top of the show. Two cars, many drivers believe that we could see the two-car tandem again. Kyle Busch and Denny Hamlin, they have checked out to over a 2-second lead. On new third place, the 22 Joey Logano. Now these guys, if these guys get, single file now, they can easily catch those two teammates very quickly. But what you see the 24 William Byron doing, that's going to, especially right here down the back straightaway, they're just slowing each other down, side drafting. As he 47, the Stenhouse is going to stay behind the 22 Logano, but this right here is just helping those two teammates drive away even further to now a 3-second lead. As we about to hit lap number 30. Behind this group, our third group, we have, led by the 38 of Ty Gilliland, Ryan Newman's back here. Stephen Leicht, Noe Gragson, that 96 of Brandon Jones. They have to catch that 36 of David Ragan one way or another. Right now, David Ragan would race his way in. Ryan Newman would have to fall back on his qualifying speed. Now the 24 of William Byron back in third place on the inside. Eric Jones, a little bit of contact between Jones and Bubba Wallace. I tell you what, that 36 of David Ragan, he has himself a strong piece. Not surprised though, because he's driving for the organization that won the Daytona 500 1 year ago with Michael McDowell. We'll see McDowell in the second race later on tonight. And and the 18's on pit lane. Kyle Busch on pit lane. We're here to possibly a tire down on the 18 of Kyle Busch. Possibly more than a tire going down. Possibly a mechanical problem on the 18 of Kyle Busch, who looked to have one of the dominant cars, possibly the dominant car of the night so far. But whatever happened to the 18 of Kyle Busch, it's now got his teammate Denny Hamlin all alone out in front. And you see what he has coming up behind him. That big train of cars lined up with William Byron leading the parade at the front. And now that two-car tandem is no more and the 11 has no help, he is going to get freight trained pretty quickly. And William Byron getting pushed by the 22 of Joey Logano. Now they're trying to break away from the pack from behind. I tell you what though, all the crew chiefs, all the teams down on pit lane, currently right now, all the teams that will be in the second race later on tonight, they noticed what that 11, what that 18 was able to do, and how quickly they were able to drive away from the pack. And now Hamlin under attack as William Byron jumps to the outside for the lead, but Logano stays behind the 11. And Hamlin looks like that's really going to help Denny Hamlin get back up to speed as you see his teammate Kyle Busch exiting pit lane. He's going to be at least 2 laps down, it appears. He's definitely going to go at least 1 lap down and possibly right here a second lap down. Now we have the 16 on pit lane, Daniel Hemrick. Trouble for the 16 of Daniel Hemrick now. 16, that is another full-time car for colleague racing, a teammate to this guy, Justin Haley, in that 31 car. At 16, we'll have different drivers behind the wheel. Daniel Hemrick, AJ Allmendinger, and Noe Gragson sharing that car. As William Byron now leads the way at the front, and the caution lights are on. Caution is out for the second time tonight. And in front of the field now is the 22 of Joey Logano. So Logano is going to have the lead over William Byron and Denny Hamlin. And I'm hearing it is for debris on the track. That is why the caution came out. Debris, we just got word that it was from the 16 of Daniel Hemrick. Possibly another mechanical failure. We saw BJ McLeod had trouble earlier in the race, and he took his car behind the wall. And now the 16 of Daniel Hemrick reporting a possible engine failure on his Poppy Banks Chevrolet. So tough break for the defending Xfinity Series champion. They will get the issues diagnosed, and he'll be ready to go come Sunday with Daniel Hemrick out of the race with 26 laps to go. And I would expect to see some pit stops here because the pit window is about 35 laps here. So we are right on the pit window. So this is really a good opportunity to come down pit lane. So William Byron and Denny Hamlin, they'll lead them down pit lane. But as they come down pit lane, and as they get service on their cars, we are going to go to a commercial break. Getting set for what could be the final restart of the night here at Daytona. You're watching the running of the 2022 BlueGreen Vacations Duels from Daytona here under the lights in Daytona Beach. Stay tuned. Okay, so we are going to go back green here with about 20 laps to go. We had several laps under yellow. Had a little bit of a scoring problem, a little bit of technical difficulties involving iRacing, so had a few extra laps under caution, but we are going to go back green here with 19 laps to go. And under this caution, bad news for the 18 of Kyle Busch. He is now taking his car behind the wall, so his car, M&M's Toyota Camry, is out of the race, joining Daniel Hemrick and BJ McLeod. So Daniel Hemrick was a engine failure. BJ McLeod was a transmission failure. Gonna be interesting to see what the cause is with the 18 of Kyle Busch, but he looked like he had the fastest car on track tonight. That is a tough break for Kyle Busch as we are back underway with William Byron leading us back down to green. Once again, a little bit too big of a lead as here comes Ricky Stenhouse Jr. pushed by David Ragan. David Ragan goes to second place in that 36 car. Bubba Wallace in that 23. Very good on these restrictor plate tracks. Justin Haley. How about that 13? Stephen Leicht. That is a car out of MBM Motorsports, a team that does not have many employees, especially full-time employees. This is the second car they brought down here, owned by Carl Long, and Stephen Leicht trying to race his way into the show. But he has to pass that blue and white 36 of David Ragan, who's currently in third place. Now Ragan tries to attack the 23 of Bubba Wallace to move into second. Now you look at some of the open cars, all the open cars we have, one driver who is in the best spot would be David Ragan, not because of how fast that 36 car appears to be, but because he has a teammate in that blue and yellow 38 of Ty Gilliland. He has a teammate as the 22 is coming to pit lane. Trouble for Joey Logano. Not sure what the issue is for the 22, but another key player in this race having trouble. So Joey Logano comes to pit lane as William Byron now drives into second place in the 24. Pushing the 47 of Ricky Stenhouse Jr. Now Cole Custer, the 41. Pushed by Chris Buescher. Now Custer moves up high, but Buescher does not go with him in the 17. That move kind of surprised me because those are two fours behind two Chevrolets. Now Buescher, he makes the move. Will Custer ditch him like Buescher did him on the backstretch? Looks like Custer's going to make the move up top behind the 17. No, he stays down low, possibly because he couldn't get up high, because here comes the 11 of Denny Hamlin. And now that 62, Noah Gragson has now moved into position, going by that 36 of David Ragan with 16 laps to go. It's kind of hard to identify some of the open cars because the paint scheme is not loading up. There's Brandon Jones on the inside of that 96. We saw Stephen Leicht up here outside the top 5. He is now drifted behind at the very back of this pack as they were 4 wide entering turn number 3. But they kept it together. They kept their cars straight, and their cars are still able to see another lap as we come to 15 to go here at Daytona. And you can feel the tensity beginning. The tension is rising here. The pressure is on for a lot of these teams because they know that they got to get up to the front. David Ragan has shown a lot of speed so far in this race. Brandon Jones now second of the open cars. Can he push Eric Jones up to the 36 of Ragan? But this is really hurting him though, because Cole Custer, he's trying to pass the 96 instead of work with him, and he has Landon Castle behind him to help. It's like we're seeing so much of side by side just killing the speed, and we know that. We've always known that when two cars are side by side, it just punches a huge hole in the air. It's just letting these guys drive away when they need to get single file. And now they have with Cole Custer, Landon Castle, and Daniel Suarez. But we see Brandon Jones, some of the key players that need to get up to the front. And they're stuck back here battling three wide. That's Ty Gilliland. Now, if I'm Ty Gilliland, a teammate of David Ragan, I'm doing exactly what he's doing right now, trying to hold up the 96, hold up that number 13, the 62, because he wants to help his teammate David Ragan make the show. And right now, David Ragan has gotten away from them as he is in the lead pack, led by race leader Denny Hamlin. 13 to go. Denny Hamlin on the bottom, William Byron up top, Stenhouse and Ragan, Ty Dillon, and Chris Buescher. The 6 cars have been able to break away. And then you got this big group, this big second pack, and we just got word that the 22 of Joey Logano saw him come down pit road. He's back on track 3 laps down in that 22 car. And the leader is William Byron, is going to catch him here pretty quickly. So tough break for Joey Logano, another driver who we thought was going to be a contender for the win here. But Byron and Hamlin, Stenhouse, Ty Dillon, a great run by the 42 of Ty Dillon. And what a difference a year makes with the driver of that 42 car. Remember Ty Dillon, we talked about this earlier. He spent about 4 years in the Cup Series full-time driving that 13 car for Germain Racing. But when Geico left the team shut down at the end of 2020, and Ty Dillon was left without a ride. He ended up joining the Toyota camp with Gott Brothers Racing. Ran a few Xfinity races with Joe Gibbs Racing. But he came down to Daytona 1 year ago to try to make the 500. He missed the race by just by a nose. He missed the race. And now he has his full-time ride with Petty GMS Motorsports. Bass Pro Shops, the sponsor. He has a teammate in Eric Jones. I think you can see a lot of. I think Ty Dillon's going to impress a lot of drivers, a lot of people this season. Drivers, the fans, crews, teams. I think Ty Dillon's going to be a name that you're going to have to keep an eye on as the 2022 season moves forward, and as we exit Daytona. As Denny Hamlin and William Byron back side by side. And these 5 guys, these 5 and 6 cars, they have completely driven off from this pack led by Austin Dillon. We have another car coming to pit lane. That's one of the open cars. That's Stephen Leicht. Stephen Leicht, one of the open cars, trying to race his way into the Daytona 500. We hear that the engine may have expired, and it has. The engine has let go on the 13 of Stephen Leicht. And Stephen Leicht is not going to race in Sunday's Daytona 500. He is done for the night. So that leaves us with 4 cars, 4 open cars left. 3 of them trying to race their way in, and one of them right here in this lead pack, David Ragan in 4th place. But 5 seconds behind is where we'll find everybody else. Corey LaJoie, Landon Castle, look at Bubba Wallace, and the caution is out now. Caution flag is out once again here at Daytona. The lights are out atop of the pace car, so we are going to have a restart under 10 laps to go. Caution was for fluid on the track, and I would assume that would come from the 13 Stephen Leicht. So the caution flag is out, and the 47 of Ricky Stenhouse Jr. will be in the lead. When we go back green, we'll have about maybe 6 or 7 to go. Currently, David Ragan, though, is in 4th place, and we want to give an update on everybody else that is trying to race their way in. Ryan Newman, let an update here at the line. Ryan Newman is going to be 11th. Brandon Jones is 13th. And Noah Gragson is going to be 18th on this restart, should everybody stay out. But this is going to be a very intense restart coming up here after the break. Can Ricky Stenhouse Jr. hold on to win dual race number 1? He's never won an exhibition race. Is this the night that Stenhouse gets it done for JTG Doherty Racing? Don't go anywhere. We will be back here after the break here on the 4Y Broadcasting Network. Okay, so we are going to go back green here with 6 laps remaining here at Daytona and the BlueGreen Vacations Duels from Daytona, the first dual race of the night. The race that will set the inside grid for Sunday's Daytona 500. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. on point with William Byron alongside. Currently, David Ragan in position to race his way into the show. The 6 laps here at Daytona, anything and everything can happen. They come down to green. We're going to have about 19 cars on track, but 18 on the lead lap. Stenhouse and Byron, the 2 Chevrolets with a Toyota and Hamlin, a Ford, and David Ragan. We're back underway. 6 laps to go here at Daytona. Stenhouse on point in the 47. Pretty good jump there by the 47 and the 11, but once again, the outside lane just does not get going. This time it's William Byron in trouble as he has no help from behind. But the top 3 was able to get away just a little bit now. 2nd and 3rd place going to side draft, slow each other down. That's going to give Ty Dillon a run entering turn number 3. Coming to 5 to go, you know that the pressure is on for many of the open drivers trying to find a way into the 500. David Ragan pushing William Byron. And you can see more and more drivers making more and more aggressive moves, aggressive blocks, making lanes, making holes that's not even there. And it's Byron and Stenhouse side by side for the lead with 5 to go. There's David Ragan. He has been really impressive in that 36 car, but back here you see that red and white number 96 of Brandon Jones. If you're just joining us, remember the paint scheme not loading up. He is technically driving a Menards Toyota for Gaunt Brothers Racing, but right now it is all a red, white, and blue number 96. But Jones trying to race his way into his very first Daytona 500. Right now that's 62 Noah Gragson. Losing a lot of time here on the restart. And they're still side by side, neck and neck here at the front with Stenhouse and Byron. Right now, Byron on the outside. He has David Ragan, but that's all the help he has right now. I mean, he has really no help from behind. Still side by side now. Ty Dillon coming up to help the 36. He's going to help the 24. Ryan Newman in the 60 trying to race his way into the show. You have the 22 Logano. Remember Logano, he is 3 laps down in that 22 car. Ty Dillon jumps up 3 wide. That's going to put David Ragan possibly in the middle. '60 of Ryan Newman right here. The red and white number 60. Further back, you have Brandon Jones and Noah Gragson. They are losing time. They're losing time fast. They don't have a lot of help back there, and I just don't think they have enough speed to get up here and challenged David Ragan to Ryan Newman. But William Byron has now gotten by Ricky Stenhouse Jr. and Stenhouse falling back on the outside. Coming to 2 to go, this time by with William Byron on point. Now about that 43, Eric Jones, he's now driven up into second place in the 43 car. Trying to get the king, Richard Petty, back in victory lane, even if it is a point, even if it is an exhibition race. But remember, points are on the line. 10 points if you can win this race, and right now the win would be in William Byron's hands. Denny Hamlin up top, trying to get help from the 3 of Austin Dillon. Chris Buescher gives a push to the 43 of Eric Jones. Hamlin and Dillon with a run on the outside. Hamlin to the door of the 24. They come off turn number 4. Ryan Newman has gotten to the inside, almost to the inside of the 36 of David Ragan to race his way in. But the white flag is out one more time around as Denny Hamlin on point now in the 11. He's taking the lead away. But Byron with a run on the outside in the 24. And he's going to have help from the 43 of Eric Jones. Byron drops low, picks up the 11. Now it's Jones and Austin Dillon leading the outside line. But Hamlin gets clear to the 43. Now Hamlin makes another charge. Makes the move to the outside. Byron's going to have Jones behind him, but will Hamlin have enough time? Will Austin Dillon have enough time to get up there and help Denny Hamlin? They come off turn number 4. It's William Byron with the lead. Help from Eric Jones. Can Denny Hamlin get one more surge as they come to the line? A drag race. It's going to be Denny Hamlin getting the win over William Byron. A side-by-side finish at the stripe. It is the 11 of Denny Hamlin who comes home with the checker flag. He wins dual race number 1. It looked like it was going to be William Byron, but right at the line, there was a late surge by the 11 of Hamlin. And Denny Hamlin wins dual race number 1. And the question will be, who will be the guy racing his way in? It's going to be the 36 of David Ragan who comes home with the top 5 finish. What a drive, what a race by this Georgia native, David Ragan, who is coming out of retirement to drive. He's going to be in this car 4 times this year. He's going to run all 4 of the restrictor plate races, Daytona and Talladega. And David Ragan will race his way in. And behind him, the 60 of Ryan Newman. He will also race on Sunday, but he's going to have to fall back on his qualifying speed. And Ryan Newman will start 39th on Sunday in the Great American Race. That means the 3 drivers from dual race number 1 that will not race on Sunday: Stephen Leicht, Brandon Jones, and for the 2nd year in a row, Noah Gragson misses the Great American Race as well. Here is the finish coming off turn number 4. See, Byron, he has his nose out in front, but as they get closer to the line, look at the run the outside lane has, and Denny Hamlin helped with a push from Austin Dillon. They just had a huge run on that 2nd lane coming off turn 4, and it was enough to get Denny Hamlin to the checker flag first. And here's one we're looking at right here. You see Byron is getting a great run from the 43 of Eric Jones because the 11 had no help. But once the 11 got the 3 behind him, it was over from there. And right there was the surge that got Denny Hamlin to victory lane. And that's what got David Ragan locked into the Daytona 500. So that was one heck of a finish. And they will be coming from deep in the grid on Sunday. As now we're going to look at the inside row and how the starting grid currently looks after dual race number 1 with William Byron. Even though he got 2nd place, he is still on the pole for Sunday. But with his win tonight, Denny Hamlin, he will now start 3rd in the Sunday's Daytona 500. Austin Dillon, who pushed Hamlin to the line, he is going to be lined up 5th. Eric Jones 7th, David Ragan, who races his way in, he will start 9th, and Chris Buescher 11th. If Ryan Newman was able to race his way in, he would be starting inside the top 20. All if he could have just beat that 36 car, but instead of starting in the top 20, he'll be starting on row 20 in 39th place. So big difference when it comes to trying to race your way in and fall back on your qualifying speed. But that is how the starting grid for Sunday's Daytona 500 currently looks right now. But still a lot more left to go, a lot more left to watch here as the night rolls on, as we get set for Duel Race number 2, when 23 more of NASCAR's biggest stars will tackle the World Center of Racing and try to race their way into the 64th running of the Daytona 500. Thank you guys for watching here on the 4Y Broadcasting Network on Twitch and also on Mark Jeff TV on YouTube. And we will take a break here, stop the coverage for right now, but don't go anywhere for too long because more racing here from the Daytona International Speedway coming up next here with the Blue Green Vacations. Duels from Daytona continues here at Daytona.